Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I am Camilla Cleghorn and today we're going to be taking a look at Spook Manor. This is from Final Frontier Games. It was a, add-on from their recent Kickstarter with Monsters on Board. So it's a smaller game set in the same universe as the Monsters on Board. So before we go any further and get my thoughts, let's figure out how to play. Alright, so to begin the game, you're going to take the lobby cards here. You're going to shuffle them up and then deal each player 2 of those and hand them a scorecard here. The lobby cards have a meeple and a symbol down, and players, they are double-sided, so they pick one of each to begin with, and that is going to be played down here to be their lobby, where children are going to come in and where they kind of stage their whole mansion as they're building it. The scorecard can go to the side. This is to keep track of scoring and different symbols you have through the game, which we'll go over here in a second. Finally, everyone is going to get a pile of 23 cards. Draw 3 cards to be their opening hand, and you are ready to play. All right, the game's going to take place over 20 rounds. Each round has 2 phases. In phase 1, you're going to draw a card to bring your hand up to 4. Then you are going to select one of your 4 cards to play into your mansion here as you're building it. The placement rules are pretty straightforward. You can play to the side to extend the foundation here, or you can play above a foundation card already. You can build up as high as you want. You can go sideways as far as you want, but you can never build without a card underneath it. So this would not be a legal placement. You could, however, do something like this. All right, so the first thing you'll do is you will play one of your 4 cards, and then you will take your hand, you will pass it to the other player, who will then pass you their 3 cards, and again, you draw up to 4 cards, and you choose one, play it, and again pass. So a pretty simple draft. If one of the cards you played has an invitation symbol, which is this envelope here with a color, you're going to take one of the meeples of that color and place it in your lobby. Meeples in your lobby can be placed in your mansion at any point on a card in which they would meet the condition. So for example, if I had this card out here, and I had this meeple earlier from this invitation, and then I play this card, I could move this meeple over to here, which is going to, this card here specifically needs 2 meeples that do not match in color. That could fit. Now later, if I have a different card, you can always move that meeple around to wherever you want to. It is not stuck there. You just move it out of your lobby just to kind of visually help you realize that that position is potentially taken. So once you have played your card again and you pass to the other player, they will pass you their 3 cards. You will draw up from your personal pile up to 4, and again, select a card to play, and continue this through 20 rounds. When you have gone through your 23 card deck that you began with, everyone will be done. When you can no longer draw, the game ends and you move on to scoring. So once you've completed the game, your mansion will be a little bit bigger than this, but this will help us here just to kind of go over some of the things you're going to score. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go through and tally up the number, or the score of all your individual cards. So for example, this one's worth 3, 2, 1, 1, and the rest are 0. So you would tally up all that. Then you're going to go through and score these kind of cards right here. These cards typically have meeples on them that are going to give you some sort of scoring condition. So in this one here, you can see this is wanting meeples of different colors. I would have 3 meeples on there, so it's going to be 9 points. This card is going to want meeples of the same color. I have 2 on there, so it's 8 points. Had I only got 1, it'd be 0 points. So the scoring conditions are different for these cards, and they're at the bottom. The next kind of scoring is these cards, the portrait rooms here, and they typically are going to interact with the cards around them. So in this one, for example, here you get 1 point for every orange meeple that are at the 4 sides of it, or any of these entertainment rooms to the 4 sides of it, and that's 1 point each. So here, again, this is orange meeples, that's going to be 1 point. In entertainment cards, I have 1 below that. So this card will then be scored, this room will be scored for 2 points. This one here wants, again, it's wanting orange meeples and also purple meeples. So this one's going to have 1, 2, 3. These cards are providing those symbols for us, so that's going to be worth 3 points for there. Unfortunately, I didn't get any purple meeples, so only 4 points. Or only 3 points. Our last card to score here is going to be our lighting rooms. And these are going to bring in our scorecard here that we were given in the beginning. This is kind of a set collection scoring mechanism here, where you're going to go through and these icons that they provide, you're going to see how many you have in both the rows and columns. If you have a single in that row, you get 0 points. If you have 2 somewhere in your mansion, you're going to get 2 points. 3 is 5 points, all 4 is 9 points. And again, you're going to score both color and sets of the same type. So you'll score both rows and columns for that based on the 0, 2, 5, 9 scale. And finally, we will score our lobby here. The cards have two different, one positive, one negative. Two different ways of scoring. So any meeples that are left in your lobby at the end of the game because you weren't able to allocate them to these entertainment are going to be negative points. Those are people that came into the lobby and you had nowhere to lure them into to get that spook juice from them. If you have 1 left in there, it's going to be negative 1 point. 2 is negative 4, 3 negative 9, and so on. And it's annotated here on the lobby card. The second thing is you're going to score how large your mansion is. Any column you have that is 6 high is going to be, if you have 1 column, it's going to be 3 points. If you have 2, it's going to be 7, and 3 is 13. So you're also kind of trying to get high columns rather than spreading out really wide. Every player is going to tally up that scoring. Highest score wins. All right, so let's first of all talk about the components. I will say I find these creeples absolutely adorable. I think as far as meeples go, they do a really good job of being chunky enough to sit up and not get in the way and be cumbersome, but also small enough that they fit on the cards and they're not, you can see around them and stuff, you know. So I really found these little creeples, as they call them, very, very endearing, and I enjoyed them. I like the quality of the cards. It's got a nice linen finish. I don't have a lot of components what you get. I don't have a lot of complaints. I will say that there is a huge missed opportunity here for usability and scoring in these cards here, these little score cards that you get. So as we said, in this part of the game specifically, you are doing kind of a set collection. You know, you're either scoring the colors or well, I guess, but either way is the color, the variety of the color or the same color. But through the game, as you're collecting these different symbols, there's no way other than counting and recounting and counting, keeping going back to your mansion over and over again to kind of visualize this. So what I've done in all of my plays since that first play when I was furious about this is I've just included some little wooden cubes. And then as you get one, you mark it off and boom, you know you have it. It's already out there. Your mansion is not changing. You're not going to ever lose that. So this is an absolute necessity that I think it is a shame it is not included in there. You have to have something like this, and the card is very small and specific, so it's not like you could use extra creeples or anything like that because then they will get in the way. So this is something that is not included that I think you absolutely have to have in order to functionally wrap your head around this part of scoring as you go through the game. I think my only other real concern or issue that I had in the game was some of the iconography. Now, I don't mean the iconography in what does it mean. I think you pick that up pretty quickly. 1 or 2 rounds, you've seen just about everything that can be seen, and there's no real secrets involved because you are drafting and passing those hands that you can ask if you have a question. So I don't necessarily know that a player aid was necessary, but definitely a little bit more explanation in the rulebook. The rulebook was difficult to get through, and a lot of assumptions. It'll throw out a word, but you don't necessarily know what that is on here. And so you're having to make a lot of assumptions to get through the rulebook in that first play was pretty clunky, as well as the icons up here in the corner, the rooms specifically, like the portrait cards versus, I don't know what this one's called, maybe the scare cards, can start to look kind of the same if you're going at that first glance because of the darker color scheme. So I don't necessarily think you need a player aid and another component, but definitely just some clarifications on what these things are included in the book, in the rule book as you go through, or just something on the back of the page on the rule book here for that first glance in the first play, I think would have really cleared up a lot of frustration of that first play. But after you get past that first play, I loved this game. I had a lot of issues with monsters on board and the components and that kind of stuff. And I think in that Foursquare review, I said I would absolutely rather play Spook Manor, and that holds true. This is a really fun tableau building drafting game. I love that you have your own individual pile that you're pulling from, and so you see as the game goes exactly what that timeline is. And there's a lot of different things to balance. The cards score similar enough that you can wrap your head around it, but different enough that you have that decision space to make a plan and kind of strategize, but also a little bit of push your luck. Are you going to take more meeples near the end of the game? and hopefully you get somewhere to place them, because that's a huge scoring card that you just landed, but do you have time to fulfill it? And so it's a really interesting balance there of when to build up what and when to push what part of scoring as you go through. I found that absolutely engaging, and very kind of tense as the game went. But at the same time, still very simple. And this game is not only simple, but fast. Once you do understand how to play and wrap your head around that, the scoring mechanisms and how it all comes together, once you get past that first play, you can set up and play this game in 15, maybe 20 minutes. Definitely, I would say two players, definitely 20 minutes. Any more than that, it is a little bit player dependent if they get caught in AP and such, but that's a player issue, right? Pick up the speed. So yeah, 20 minutes to get a game like this and to feel fulfilled in that decision space. And when my mansion was complete, I felt good about it. I really think they nailed the length of this game. It doesn't drag out like, but I did everything and now it's perfect. I don't want to add anything. But at the same time, I felt like I got everything I needed. I really think they hit a sweet spot there. This is a game that I would really recommend to a lot of people. I think it's, again, once you get past that first play, and if you can make some minor component adjustments and understand that first play, understanding the symbology and kind of what's going on, the rule book is clunky and a little bit difficult to get through. But if you do, this game is very rewarding. In the same way of like Draftosaurus, for example. I really enjoy Draftosaurus, and this kind of gave me that same vibe. Obviously a completely different theme. I think a little bit more of that decision space, a little bit more of that push your luck. But I really, really enjoyed this. So I'm going to come in actually at an 8 for this. If these components, if the rule book was fixed and these components came in the game and I didn't have to kind of make up my own that don't fit the theme, because y'all know I love my theme, then this would definitely be higher. But it does take a slight dock for that, and because of that, I'm not quite going to give it the seal of excellence, but definitely a seal of approval for this one. Going to come in at an 8 for Spook Manor by Final Frontier Games. So until then, I'm Camilla Cleghorn.